Hey everybody, we are continuing on with the rainbow. Okay, so this one is an interesting discussion. This one is not digitally remastered. Everything else I've covered at this point is digitally remastered. I'd have to go back and recheck my original review for Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, the first album. The reason why I say that is I don't remember if that was digitally remastered or not, but I know the whole bunch that I've just done have been digitally remastered. Sorry, Lanny was distracting me. Wanted some pets. And if the cat wants some pets, the cat gets some pets, or the cat's going to drive me up the wall. All right, so difficult to cure. This one is AAD. I talk about that a lot with these. And AAD, that is important because that means it was analog tape recorder used during session recording and subsequent mixing and or editing, digital tape recorder used during mastering. That's it. So great, not what you want to hear. This is, I guarantee, probably better on vinyl than it is on this version of compact disc. But would I go out and buy the remaster? I don't know. And the reason why I say that is there are some good tunes on this album, but I don't know if it's enough. I mean, Tracy bought this album originally. Oh, you messing with my Lego cat? Put Lego on the floor and the cat messes with it right away. Okay, so Tracy bought this album originally. So would I go out and buy a remaster knowing that Tracy bought this album originally and she bought it used? Okay, hold on a second, folks. Lanny is being excessively difficult and keeps knocking stuff on my Harry Potter set over. So I must make Lanny move to a different spot. All right, Lan. There you go. Nope. Go on. Mess with the Lego, you get the boot. Okay. So, I would say that this album has four truly solid tracks that I like out of 9. Let's get into it. The album's up with I Surrender. Great tune. The one song on this album I actually knew well before hearing this album for this review, well before listening to this album when Tracy introduced it to me. Great tune, great pop sensibilities to it. I could see why it was a radio hit and why it did well for them back in 81. I'm pretty sure I remember it from the car back in 81, I've talked about this a lot about how, my dad would always have classic rock stations on in the car. So by between 83 and 85, man, 86 actually, I remember a lot of music being introduced to me that I didn't necessarily know. So I'm pretty sure I Surrender is on there. Then we go on to Spotlight Kid. Part of me wants to like this song. The other part of me is kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. Then on to No Release, which I don't mind it when the album's playing, but that's kind of about it. Same thing with, it kind of is the same thing that happens with the next couple songs. Magic, whatever, it doesn't do too much for me. And Vielleicht das Nachmal, I don't know. Maybe next time. My apologies for totally butchering that. I enjoyed the instrumentation on it, and that's kind of where it goes. I Can't Have It Here. I really enjoy this song. Some of the lyrics, this is a personal thing. This is just a me thing. I have an issue when technology is brought up in music. I don't know what it is. It's just this weird thing I've got about it. And it doesn't matter what you're talking. You can talk about tubes and transistors. You can talk about microchips and processors. It doesn't matter. I'm not a fan of music or digital stuff being brought up in there, I don't want to hear you describing your Fender amp or your Fender guitar or your PV amp or And let me be fair, folks, that could be a Gibson guitar and a Marshall amp, okay? Or in my case, it could be an Epiphone, and I don't even remember what amp I'm playing through these days. But overall, I like Can't Happen Here. It's a really good high energy rocker. Really has that classic, Richie Blackmore kind of sound to it. Really dig on it. I also like that it's piano, not organ, not keyboards, not piano. It's great. Then you're on a Freedom Fighter, which isn't a bad tune when the album's playing, Midtown Tunnel Vision. I really enjoy Midtown Tunnel Vision. I think it's a good tune. I really kind of get into it and enjoy the sensibilities of it. I like the musicianship on it, stuff like that. Just totally, it's one of those tracks that works for me. And then the album finishes off with Difficult to Cure, which is using Beethoven's Ninth in it. I think Difficult to Cure is a great little jam off of Beethoven's Ninth. I really like how they play with it and have some fun with it. The whole way around, I Surrender, Can't Happen Here, Midtown Tunnel Vision, Difficult to Cure, those are kind of the standouts for me. Those are the ones on the album that really kind of make the album pop. And really, you're going to keep insisting on sitting in my Lego. Oh, you're being a problem. Go. If you hadn't knocked the Lego around, you could have sat there. No, you just... Cats. Just this one. Love my Lanny, but man, is she annoying. The whole way around, I'd have to hear a remaster, see if maybe it pops a little better for me. I'd be willing to give it a shot. Richie Blackmore's work on here is no fault of this album. I don't remember who did the production on this one. Is it even on here? Okay, it was Roger Glover again, which does explain why it sounds a lot like Down to Earth, which... just not the same as the Martin Birch recordings. There are differences. You can hear it. You got Don Airy on the keyboards. We got a new drummer now. We got Bob Rondinelli. Roger Glover's on the bass still. And then Joe Lynn Turner is on the lead and the backup vocals here. I like Joe Lynn Turner's voice, but there was a problem in the 80s where basically all the vocalists really honestly started to sound the same. Even coming out of the 70s, a lot of the vocalists, you'd go to specific vocalists because specific vocalists would have specific sounds. And if you wanted one sound and you couldn't get that one vocalist, you went and found another vocalist that sounded like that one vocalist. And Joe Lynn Turner, to me, fantastic vocalist, but to me, Joe Lynn Turner is one of those vocalists that's always when you can't get the vocalist you want, you go get Joe Lynn Turner. Joe Lynn Turner is to Rainbow what Tony Martin was to Black Sabbath. Best way I know how to put it. Fantastic vocalist, arguably better than at least one of the previous vocalists, but just not that same punch, I can see why, I can't think of the name of the dude. The previous vocalist, though, the guy on the last album that was only there for the one album, Down to Earth. Let's see, do I have it right here still? Of course I don't. No, I put it away. All right. Graham, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, I can understand why he left when they started working on this album, why he wasn't happy with the direction that the album was going in based on what I've read online and whatnot. It really... it's a mixed bag kind of album to me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on this album. Maybe I'm not being hard enough. I don't know. Maybe I surrender. No. Let me know what you think, folks. That's what the comment section's for. Drop me a line down below. I am working through these. We got 2 more that are still in my collection I got to go through, and I'm still working on trying to find the 2 albums that I'm missing so I can just, say, wow, well, we covered all the rainbow, and I've completed out the collection, as I should. All right, folks. On your way down to the comment section, you'll see a couple links. If you can hit those, that'd be great. Thanks. Please and thank you. Like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. I really would love that subscription. Trying to hit 200 before the end of the year. I've been doing this for a few years now. It'd be nice to hit 200 subscribers. That'd be kind of nice. Indeed. Anyways, other than that, folks, peace, love, take care.